You're listening to the New World to Go podcast with your hosts, Redbyrd and BDLG.
Hello and welcome to another episode of New World to Go. I'm your host, Redbyrd, and with me is BDLG. Bordy, we got a good one tonight. A good show.
We do. We do, man. We do. I'm excited. I'm ready to record, man. This is fun. I always enjoy doing this every week.
You know, sometimes when we do these intros, Bordy, I say that we have a good one. You know what I'm saying? I say that we have a good one. And then I think about late night hosts, and they're always like extremely ecstatic about doing the show. But I always wonder, like, if they have like a guest or something on that they're like, man, I really think this show's gonna suck. But
so what are you saying? You really think this is gonna suck?
I don't know why it reminded me of that thought I always had. Was like, dude,
listen, I don't like where this is going.
Does he really believe that the show's gonna be great tonight? They record like 5 episodes a week, though. You know what I'm saying? We only do one a week. So
I mean, I always really believe that the episodes.
No, I do
great,
too. I'm just saying, like, I wonder if those people don't. You know what I'm saying? They're being dishonest to us. We do have a good show. Let's jump right in here, dude. But first, well, I guess we're not jumping right in if we have something to add. Go check out our YouTube channel.
Boom.
Me and Bordy have been on the grind and now are putting up 5 videos a week, Monday through Friday. New World content, we do a little bit of Ashes of Creation content. Obviously, you guys don't care about that. And then we have a new show coming up, and the first ever episode of that show, and it's a YouTube exclusive show, happens Friday, guys. And should we announce the name of the show on this podcast? That way these are OGs, Bordy.
They are OGs.
These are OGs.
This is where it all started.
This is where it all started. Well, yeah. ESO to go is kind of. But this was like the first consistent. Okay, well, fine. Shout out to our friend Lotus. You know what I'm saying? That made me think of him. I don't know why. I know he supports everything we do. Yeah, he's a great guy.
Yeah, I love him. All right, say it.
All right.
Say it.
The new show, which is YouTube exclusive, is called Mo to Go. Multiplayer on. It's a show on YouTube that covers all things that are related to multiplayer online gaming. It's a passion, me and Bordy's. We love playing multiplayer games together. It's one of my favorite, obviously, ways to play video games is to play with people. And we have a show now dedicated to those type of games to keep you guys informed and up to date on hopefully everything that you would need to know if you're into those games too.
Yeah, and that does include MMOs, by the way. MMOs, but it also opens it up to other games too, like something like Baldur's Gate type of thing. And we kind of want to stay in the RPG genre as well.
Yes,
so
multiplayer online role-playing games.
Boom, there it is. Yeah.
Hey, there we go. So if you're interested in multiplayer online role-playing games, just want to make sure that the YouTube, analytics know that we're talking about this. Go check out the show that. Well, I mean, it may be up now, but hopefully, well, we'll see. Friday, December. Bordy?
Oh, good. Oh, man. Was I supposed to chime in there? I didn't know. It's the 18th.
December 18th will be the first launch of that show. So go check that out, guys. We appreciate it. And also, guys, I know you guys are annoyed by me saying this constantly, but go follow the Studio Loot Twitter. That's where all of our updates for new articles. If we update the map on New World Fans, if Taken updates the map on New World Fans, if we do an article, that will be tweeted out through that account. So go check that account out as well. All right, Bordy, that's enough for shameless self-promotion. We have, hopefully, Bordy, if we are staying close, or if New World stays close to its cadence of releasing patch notes for alpha updates, we are due this week for another bit of information about New World and what they're adding to the game, Bordy. So off the jump, I'm going to ask you the tough question that I consistently ask you almost every episode. Dude, what do you think they're going to add to the alpha this time around?
Bro, I have no idea, man. I have no idea. I hope that they give us content this time, which is the same thing I say every time, but I hope they do. We've gotten changes, good changes, I think, so far, which we've put out videos on. Almost all of the changes that they've made, we've talked about them on the podcast a lot, but I want to see content, man. And I think that would be what gets everyone excited and everyone ready to go is actual content they add, which they have added. They have added content. Don't get me wrong. They have added fishing. They have added reek water. They have done some things like that. But when I say content, everybody knows what we mean in terms of like mid to end game, more PvE and PvP content to keep people playing long term. That's the type of stuff I want to see revealed.
Yes, and we're going to talk a little bit about that tonight, of course. I think reek water was an awesome addition. Fishing was an amazing jump in the right direction. I think fishing was probably one of the most requested features in the game. So they knocked that out of the park, mounts, obviously. Probably. Yeah, mounts is also something that I think is way less important than fishing, but we'll see about that. But Bordy, I think that we could see another zone, obviously, another in-game zone that keep people, that maybe has something that has to do with one of the other gathering. I think Shattered Mountain is probably going to be the home to most miners, I would think, or people that, are associated with blacksmithing and stuff like that. Are we going to see maybe some sort of enchanted forest, or something like that for wood people? I mean, it's kind of cool to start thinking about that because, of reek water and what it is for fishing. But Bordy, and this is kind of going to segue us into our main topic. Are we going to see the first initial attempt or stab at instance type content such as dungeons?
I don't know, man. We keep saying that we think it's coming, and I still do. In all honesty, I still do believe that that's something that's going to happen because all signs point in that direction. So I still believe that's something that's coming, but I don't know that that's going to be something they announce in December for this update. But maybe it is. I mean, I at this point, I honestly don't know, but I do think that at some point in the future, we're going to get them.
Yeah, I honestly do too, and I've realized something. And it took me kind of getting sucked back into WoW to realize this, and not realize it, but remember, I guess, is that, dude, I really like challenging, organized PvE content, man. It's fun to go in there with your buddies and friends and be challenged by mechanics and difficulty inside of a PvE experience inside of an MMO. It's one of my favorite things to do. I used to raid, competitively, and also, me and my buddies right now are enjoying Mythic Dungeons in WoW, and the challenge that they possess it's just fun, man, to kind of learn and progress as a player. So I really do hope they find some unique way, not obviously the exact same way that other MMOs do it, because New World is nothing like other MMOs, but I hope they find some way to provide that experience to players, because I think there is a large group of MMO players that like PvE.
Well, yeah, I think that is probably the majority of MMO players. I'm not guessing. I'm pretty sure that's a fact. That is. Now I haven't looked that up, but I'm almost certain that's a fact, and I think it's an overwhelmingly large majority of MMO players prefer PvE over PvP content. I am not one of those people. I prefer PvP over PvE, but I also do enjoy going into an instance dungeons with my buddies and having a good time in there, and having that sense of accomplishment whenever you finish the dungeon on hard mode or whatever it is. So I wouldn't be opposed to them. My fear, and I've said this for a long time, every time we talk about anything that puts them in the direction of almost a more generic MMO, is that I don't want them to be a generic MMO.
Right.
Like,
exactly.
I don't want New World to be WoW. I don't want New World to be any of these other MMOs. And I think what sets it apart, what will continue to set it apart, is the combat, the action-based system, the environment. There's a lot of things that do still set it apart. So I don't think bringing in instanced content would necessarily make it another cookie cutter MMO, right? Like, I still think it's unique enough that it would still be kind of its own thing. But they really have to be careful there, though, man. They really do, because they don't want it to lose the unique flavor of this game.
Yes, and that's kind of, that those are two important things, I think, for the New World community to remember. And obviously, as we see them add new features and content to the game, obviously we're going to see some people disagree or agree with that type of content that they're adding. Just because New World took a stab at instance content doesn't mean or make it like other games. I mean, obviously there are so many different ways that you can approach a unique instance setting that also adds to New World's experience versus take away from it. Instance content allows them to provide a unique set of rules for players that prevents them from kind of cheesing it and it allows their development team to kind of create unique ways to challenge players. Because one of the things that kind of, I think, is a negative thing about open world, just having completely open world content, is over populating an experience, which basically means if there is a open world dungeon that's meant for a group of 4 players or 5 players to complete, and players go ahead and run in there with 8. A group of 8, a group of 10, that the challenge is removed from, or basically, is removed from that type of content. So, I think unique instance content in New World can be a very good thing for the experience, the life of the game, and obviously player retention, giving them something to do, that's repeatable, that's also challenging.
Yeah, but they also have to be careful because they don't want to take away from the undermining of the territories, because that's also a core gameplay aspect of New World. So the more instanced content they add, the more people that are going to be doing that versus going out and undermining territory and trying to take over territory. So there's got to be a fine balance there, man. You don't want to split your population up doing too many things. You got to figure out what the focus is and hammer down on it. But I think if done right, if implemented right, it could be a very big success.
What if, Bordy, what if they had it to where like you had to control a zone to go into an instance area? So what if your company had to own the territory for you to be able, or even faction, really?
How about your faction? That way it gives a little bit more meaning to being in a faction. That's a great idea, dude. I like that, man. And other games like I think Dark Ages of Camelot did this, and the ESO has done this before, which basically makes I think they've changed it back to the other way, but made it to where like you have to control the PvP zone to get access to unique PvE content. And I think that's interesting for New World, especially since it's kind of centered around the territory control and everything like that. Ooh, I like that. I hope they explore that some. Hey, you can have a good idea every now and then, man. I'll credit you for that one. That'd be great.
Greg, dude, you know where to find me, brother. Let's get it done, dude. Well, I got all kinds of ideas. I don't.
Well, you had one, and it was good.
Yeah, I had one idea. Hey, man, that's all it takes, dude. That's all it takes is one good idea.
All right.
Okay. Anyways, I didn't mean to make that entire conversation about dungeons, but you guys get the point. We're getting hopefully some new information soon, and I look forward to that. Obviously reading those patch notes, we're going to cover them here on the podcast and on the YouTube channel. So hang tight when that comes out. Come join us in the discussion. So, Bordy, one of the things from the most last time's patch notes, the most recent patch notes, that kind of piqued my interest, and as me and you have kind of discussed more and more things about New World, I kind of, and everybody kind of focused on fishing and reekwater, obviously the spear and all of those, really, really good things that they've added to the game. But one of the things that I think might be the most important, and it's the main topic that we have tonight, is the elite monster system, Bordy. And the reason I think that it is one of the most important things that have been added is because it is now a system inside of New World that they can manipulate and change the player experience on a dime. And I think it's really, really important to have things like that in your game for replayability, which, and me and you both know, when it comes to the life of an MMO and player retention and like hours logged, having unique experiences on a regular basis is something that can be very huge for player retention.
Yeah, I agree. And I think you're right. I think this is a hidden gem within the patch notes here that a lot of people are overlooking. You know, everyone's talking about the targeted healing, the tank system, the new threat generation system, which we have talked about as well, put a video out on as well. But not a lot of people are talking about the new elite enemy system. And I agree, man. It's very intriguing, very interesting. And so that's why we're going to talk about it tonight.
Yeah. So basically, if you guys don't remember from, I think, last episode, this system allows them to add different abilities and traits randomly to elite mobs. So basically, when you fight an elite mob, it should be a unique experience from fighting anything else in the game, because of their ability to kind of change these attack styles or abilities. That again adds to this. I mean, really, I think it's safe to say we've never seen an MMO with this good of content. This combat. This active of combat where you're having to dodge and block and parry and manage stamina and you use your basic and heavy attacks to kind of, actually, like, produce a effective combat. That didn't come out right. Anyways, you know what I'm talking about. So Bordy,
I was waiting for something to happen.
Yeah,
there.
I don't know, man. My brain lagged there for a second. I got some latency there. Anyways, you know what I'm talking about. New World's combat's very unique, and that's kind of what I think draws a lot of people to the game. Is it does have like that Dark Souls feel to it. And so Bordy, what is your initial take on the elite mob system? And how it can kind of be used to create unique combat experiences throughout Aeternum.
Dude, I think that the elite mob system is going to be awesome, actually. And I think you hit the nail on the head whenever you said replayability within the game, which is something that we're all looking for, right? That's one of the things that and I think this is one of the things they have added. You know, I was saying earlier, I want to see them talk about the mid to late game content that they're going to add. I think this is one of those things that could provide a lot of replayability for the game. I don't know that this alone is enough. I don't think this alone is enough, but I think that this is a great step in the right direction. So you want me to read these off, Red, or were you planning on going through them?
I was going to go through them. You can kind of help me host this part of it, I guess, because a lot of it, WoW specifically, I guess you don't really play. But one of the things that I think is most important, or the best comparison that kind of hashes out the replayability, or it kind of gives us an example of how this type of feature can add to the replayability and the unique combat experiences in a game, are games like Diablo and Path of Exile, which basically create these unique elite mobs and even bosses that have, they just keep stacking these abilities like resistant to fire or, immune to fire. And then, a mob may have like a mortar attack, or, it may be able to spawn copies of itself and duplicate. And there's all of these crazy things inside of like Diablo and Path of Exile that just make the game so much more fun when you're kind of running into these random elite mobs that you're going to get good loot from, number one. And number two, are going to give you this combat experience that you have to learn on the fly, man. And I think that is really exciting to think about in New World.
Yeah, absolutely. So New World says they're going to add 1 to 3 traits to enemies that vary gameplay, and they can be specifically assigned or random. I think that's pretty dope. So they can just randomly throw these on some of the enemies, and then it truly is just a random encounter every time. And then, so it says there's 3 categories of traits: offensive, defensive, and utility. Utility is like explodes on death, or they have like a frost aura or something. And then it says that they're going to keep adding traits over time, dude, which is awesome. Dude. So right now there's 1 to 3, but over time, dude, there could be 100 different traits. So So it truly could be like it's once every 100 enemies you fight is going to be the same. That's awesome, man. That's a huge variability amongst them. So yeah, I agree. It's going to be a kind of a lot like the games you had mentioned, and that is very exciting to me. You couple the combat system in New World with some unique abilities like this, so the combat doesn't get stale whenever you're out PvEing. Awesome, dude.
Yeah,
fantastic change, man.
Yes, I think it's massive when you're talking about the open world experience and having you stumble upon like a cave or a piece of or nook or cranny of the map that you haven't explored before, and running into a unique elite mob that like poses a new challenge for you, and obviously gives you a chance at some pretty sweet loot or gear. I think is really, really good. And this kind of, I hate to talk a lot about WoW because I know some people do not like to hear about it, but this also kind of, opens up that conversation with how they're going to kind of make the game experience more difficult as you go on and level up. And even at max level, kind of present a challenge to their players, because that's basically what WoW does. Their normal dungeons, kind of how they scale them up, obviously, is artificially through like the amount of hit points a boss has or amount of damage it can do, but also the type of mechanics or skills that the boss can do that make it more challenging. That's what kind of the difference between a normal and then a heroic and a mythic dungeon is they add more mechanics that players have to kind of learn and figure out that make the fight more challenging. So I think New World, and again, why I think it's maybe the most important thing that they've added to the game thus far since the preview event, New World now has a system in place which they can do that. They can add difficulty to combat experiences, which is really, really exciting, because I know one of the most frequent complaints of players inside of the preview event and inside of New World was the lack of content, man. And this is basically going to allow them to create content on the fly randomly through these elite mobs.
Yeah, it's going to be great, dude. This is nothing but positive in my mind. I have nothing negative to say about this change. I think it's going to be fantastic. So the other thing, though, that I want to mention is that the threat system that was introduced back in October, I think it was, it had part 1 on there, right? So then the next month in November, they came out and they had new threat system part 2. Well, now the elite enemy system has an elite enemy system part 1. So going back to the initial discussion about what we think we're going to expect, we could get an elite enemy system part 2 in the December update, which would be awesome to me. I would love to hear more about what's going on with the elite enemy system in the game. And I don't know if that means they're just going to tell us more traits that they're adding, or if there's actually more to this elite enemy system that they're just not saying here. Because the threat system, they added some things in there that they really didn't hint at before on the other patch notes, so it could be the same. So I'm excited, dude. I'm ready to see what else is in store for this system, man.
Yeah, I mean, dude, that makes me even more excited that you said that they did mention part 1 in that, man. I'm excited to see. Yeah, I think the trait thing obviously is like 1 to 3 traits on the particular elite monster, but I'm sure they have more than that to start with. And I'm like you said, I think they're going to continue to add those, and that kind of like, again, like just opens up, because we know they're dedicated to New World for the foreseeable future with new content and new expansions and everything like that. This just system lays that foundation for them to, again, like, with a new update or a new patch of content, can like, oh yeah, now we added monsters that like do like crazy void. You know what I mean? Like they shoot crazy void orbs out of them every time they attack or something. They can just keep adding those and stacking those onto mobs. And man, dude, I can't wait to see what they have in store for this system and how they use it to add new content in the game.
Yeah, me too. And if anybody played the preview event, you do know that it, like, PvE did get a little stale at times, right? Like there were times, like initially PvE is a lot of fun because it's to me overall it's a lot of fun anyway because I enjoy the combat so much in New World. But over time, the PvE does get stale because you encounter the same mob type over and over and over, which they have addressed. They have added new mobs to the game
types,
now. They have done that too. But then also all of those same mob types, all of them have the same mechanics. So whenever you see one, you're like, I know this guy's going to swing that club at me 15 times, and I can tell exactly when he's going to do it. So I just need to roll out of the way and then go back and hit him again. Now, this is the elite enemy system, so this doesn't apply to normal mobs. But still, once you get to end game, I think it's going to make a huge difference, which is where they really needed the content differentiation and added content anyway. So it's awesome.
And you make a good point about just elite mobs, but a lot of those in-game zones that they had
are elite mobs,
are just basically all elite mobs, like Shattered Mountain and Reekwater had a ton in that event. They had a ton of elite mobs, and there were like open world dungeons, like we pointed out in one of our videos, that is strictly all like level 62 to level 65 elite mobs. So those open world dungeon experiences will be insane when you're talking about pulling 2 to 3 elite mobs that you have no idea what mechanics they have built into them. Imagine that experience as a group pulling too many of those mobs that have some crazy traits and crazy abilities. That'll be pretty fun to complete. For sure.
Yeah, I think so, man. It's going to be, I'm the more time that goes by and the more I read into these things, and I've probably read these patch notes 15 times already. I get more and more excited every time I read through this stuff, because they have made a lot of good changes. And initially, sometimes your reaction is like, that's not that, whatever, like that's not a big deal. Dude, the elite enemy system to me is a really big deal. And every time I read it, I'm like, man, I can't wait to get back in there and go try some of this stuff out. It's going to be, I'm excited, dude. It's going to be fun. I'm really excited for this game.
Yeah, me too. Obviously. Bordy, you have anything else to add about the elite mob system? I think this is an interesting conversation that hopefully in the comments you guys will let us know. What are you guys looking forward to in this system, and how do you think they're going to implement it inside of New World? Because I think, again, it is one of the most interesting things that they've added thus far, and I think it has a lot of potential to completely change, not in a bad way, to completely change New World in a good way and add the type of content that we're all looking for to keep us enthralled and logging in every day.
Yeah, couldn't agree more.
All right, Bordy. Well, as always, we have a company of the week, Bordy. Now, I usually let you do this, and I'm going to do the same on this episode. Who is our company of the week?
Blackguard. The company of the week is Blackguard. The region is NA. Their faction is undecided. They're an English-speaking company. Their focus is PvE. I think this is actually the first PvE-focused company that we have had on the show. Most of them are PvX or PvP. This is strictly PvE focus, so I think that's awesome. They are currently recruiting, and obviously I'll post all of this information in all of the descriptions across all the platforms, YouTube, then all of the podcast descriptions. This will be in there. And it says about Blackguard, they are a small community that's growing at a very steady rate. The aim for Blackguard is to dominate the world of Aeternum. Yo,
it's gonna be hard to do that without PvP.
Yeah. If it's just PvE, maybe they're wanting to dominate just all the mobs in Aeternum. You know what I mean? They're going to go mop up all of the PvE content. Blackguard isn't a solely evil organization. Oh, so I guess Blackguard, some people could perceive it as evil. Yeah. It says that we only do what we're contracted to do without resistance or hesitation. Hey man, that's kind of cool. So I think maybe the focus on PvE should have been PvX here, because it also says that their focus is mainly to hire themselves out to a zone for its protection. So I think that maybe they meant to put PvP instead of PvE, or maybe it is PvE and they're just killing the mobs as other people go around. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. You have to contact them to find out. But again, I'll post all that information down below. Sounds like a very cool group to be a part of if you need a company to join in New World.
Yes, sir. And again, as always, we appreciate you guys as you continue to create your guild promotion over there at New World Fans. If you are a owner of a guild or a leader of a company, governor of a company, I got it right that time, then you should create a account on New World Fans and sign up your company, and you could be featured on an episode of New World to Go. All right, Bordy. Well, that about does it for this episode. Hopefully next time we're in your guys' ears, we have a new patch notes to discuss. We're excited about that. So, Bordy, why don't you tell people where they can find you?
Yeah, man. Twitter is at the BDLG. Twitch is twitch.tv/BDLG. And then we are pumping out a boatload of content over on the Studio Loot YouTube channel. And we'll make sure to link that across all platforms as well. It'll be in the link down below.
And I'm Redbird with a Y. You can find me over at Twitch under that name. Also on Twitter, I am Redbird. I need to change that because it is extremely confusing. Also, I have a big head. Just wanted to throw that in there, man.
I mean, it is. I didn't want to say anything.
I have a massive head. All right, cool. Well, that's about it.
Head shape too. It looks a little.
Hey, man, yours is too, dude. You're bald.
Not as much as yours is like definitely egged. Mine is like more round.
It's like an upside down egg.
Yeah.
I have a nice chin, but a massive head. All right, well, let's stop talking about this and in this episode. I don't know why I threw that in there. All right, guys, thank you guys so much for listening. We really, really appreciate it through this time. Leading up to the launch of New World, we are grateful for you guys. Don't forget to go check out newworldfans.com, our website that has everything you need when it comes to New World. So thanks again, guys. We really appreciate it, and we'll see you on the next episode of New World to Go.